Hey, it's Pastor James, and we are continuing this online devotional study through the time of Lent, the season of Lent, which begins on Ash Wednesday and goes through Holy Week. It's a season of reflection, and it's a great time to kind of dig in on a daily basis and discover more about this person of Jesus. We are doing the series, or entitling the series, Cultivating Image. You know, as I said on the kickoff video, that as kids, we don't care about what people think about us. It doesn't matter how we dress. We can color outside the lines. Our imagination is limitless. But as we get older, we begin to wonder and worry about what people think about us, and then we begin to redefine ourselves in the image of other people's expectations about how we should act, what we should say, what we should wear, and so forth. I remember in high school, when I was in high school, it was in the early 80s, so that's the preppy phase, and I remember looking back in those times and thinking, what was I doing wearing a pink polo and red plaid pants and sometimes plaid shirts and plaid shorts? I'm glad nobody, as far as I know, has a picture of me in those days that could come back and haunt me. But if I ever run for office, maybe they will, so that may be a good reason alone not to run for office. But we all fall into that trap, and we continue to do that. We continue to wonder about what people think of us, and we continue to be influenced by other people's expectations. Well, what we want to do is turn that around and have our focus on reflecting the image of Jesus and what he would do in us and what it would look like to reflect him in our lives, in our daily world. And so that's what we're focusing on this Lenten season, is zeroing in on the person of Jesus as revealed through the Gospel of Matthew. You can follow along with us. If you have the YouVersion app, you can use the Lent for Everyone by Tom Wright, particularly his for the Gospel of Matthew. Join that or start that reading program, and you'll be walking along with us through the Gospel of Matthew, and you can read his own devotional thoughts about each one of those passages. Today we come to the passage in which Jesus calls his disciples, and we're going to be looking at Matthew 4, verses 18 to 22. Let me read it for you. While walking by the Sea of Galilee, Jesus saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. And going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. Immediately they left the boat and their father, and they followed him. You can imagine that those four guys thought their whole life would be constituted of fishing and selling fish and fishing some more. I don't think they ever could imagine that they would end up being four of the, 11 people that were the foundations of the church as it was brought into being in the book of Acts. But that's what they became. They weren't qualified for it. They didn't have a degree for it. They weren't certified in starting churches. They weren't even Christians. They didn't know anything about this world that Jesus was going to reveal to them, about this covenant nature of the church and what it meant to build this kingdom of people that would be, ever since then, worshiping, enjoying life under the reign and the glory of Jesus Christ. They didn't have that vision, but it didn't make any difference to Jesus. Jesus saw what was, and he saw what could be for them. They may not have believed it about themselves, but Jesus saw it, saw their future, saw what could be in their lives. I want you to think about that for a minute, that Jesus can see what is about us and can see what could be with us. We can see what is, but I'm pretty certain that we don't believe what could be in terms of what Jesus could do in our lives if we were going to encounter him and allow him to direct us, to be shaped into his image, to take the risk of saying no to all the expectations and all the image management of this world, and to say yes to being formed in the image of Christ, to have the image of Christ being formed in us so that we could be image bearers of Christ to the world around us and all the little ordinary places that we go. You may not be able to see what can be, but Jesus can. And I think the life of these disciples who did more than they ever thought possible is a good example for us, that if we will surrender ourselves to follow the way of Jesus, we may not look at our lives and not think there's anything special we could be, but I guarantee you there is something special you could be and you will be when you seek the image of Christ in you. What's your hope? What's your hope for who you're to become? What's your hope for what you would want Jesus to do in your life? Trust him for that possibility. Take that risk and to see. Just reflect on that question. I know you can see what is about your life today. And what is it that you would want to become? I promise you, Jesus can do more than you can ever imagine. Paul says, what eye have seen, nor what ear has heard, nor mind has conceived what the plans of God are. Cultivate his image in your life and see what you can become.